Hello everyone, welcome back. So today we're going to be having a look at my top 5 fragrances from the House of Dua. Sorry? We can't do that. Why not? Somebody's already done the top 5. The fragrance runner. Who's he? Hello everyone, welcome back. So today I'm going to do a little bit of a roundup of some recent releases from Dua fragrances. I think these are all 2018 releases from the House of Dua. Of course, they release an awful lot of fragrances, so it's very hard to give a comprehensive overview. I certainly don't have everything that they make, but these are 5 that have really interested me and that I pretty much enjoy. I'll rate them in order and give you, so we can call it a top 5, I guess, of the recent ones. But as ever, the difference between number 5 and number 1, not massive. Kind of pretty positive about all of these, but I'll try and be as objective as possible and point out the pros and cons. They were sent to me free of charge for review, so do bear that in mind. Okay, so let's check it out. At number 5 then, it's one that there's been a lot of talk about, not all of it good, and that's Poseidons Elixir 13ZZ. So this one from Dua is their take on Creed Aventis, of which they've done a couple of other versions, but this one specifically is based on a batch from the year 2013, which ended in the code 13ZZ01, which is apparently a very sought after batch of Aventis, which had a little bit more smokiness, a bit more of the masculine elements, and less accented on the fruitiness, with a bit more smokiness and depth than some people say modern Aventis have. I know Gent Sense did a review where he didn't like this one too much, and so there's been mixed reviews on this. Other reviewers, I think including Stephen from Red Alert Sense, did really like it. I've compared it to my batch of Aventis, which is not the one it's supposed to be based on. My batch is LT421 15X01, so it's a more modern batch, and it's a very, very good copy, I find, of Aventis overall. It really has a nice opening, very bright, very citrusy, very similar to Aventis, and to me I can tell that it's of a higher quality than things like Club de Nuit Intense Man or L'Aventure by Al Haramain. Very, very close indeed, but not identical to my batch of Aventis. It does indeed seem to have a little bit more of a smokiness about it. The birch tar note is more noticeable. I know the company Dua did claim that they went all the way, I think, to Barcelona to find a particular type of birch tar oil. They're certainly saying they've been to great lengths to accurately capture the particular batch that they're basing this one on. I find that I'm getting really, really nice performance, really, really similar smell to Aventis, and I'm pretty positive about this one. I'm a little bit sort of done with all the different takes on Aventis that are out there, so it doesn't excite me as much as some other fragrances out there, but for what it's worth, I do think that's a good copy of Aventis. The price, of course, for these round about the $60 mark for 30 mils usually, and so they're not super cheap, but the performance level does seem really good. It seems a little bit better than my batch of Aventis, and the concentration of oil in these is roughly around about 30%-ish, give or take usually, which is higher than eau de parfums from Creed will be. So you could argue you're going to get a stronger version of Aventis. The smell obviously is not going to be 100% the same, because no copy ever is, but it is rather good and very hard to tell apart from Aventis in the air. Can't comment much on the specific similarity with the batch that it's based on, but there we go. Moving on then to something completely different, one that I do really enjoy as well, and a similar vein here, because the smell is similar. It's Supernova. So Supernova is the Dua take on Elysium by Roger Dove. There are 2 versions of Elysium, the Parfum and the Parfum Cologne. Parfum Cologne a little bit weaker, slightly different notes to the Parfum. This Dua version is a hybrid of the 2, and I have to say I really love it. I don't have my own bottle of Elysium, but I have tried both versions in stores quite a bit, and the similarity from what I can tell is very good. But mainly I'm just going to talk about Supernova itself. Really, really bright, crisp opening. I think we've got grapefruit, lemon, lime and bergamot in there. Many, many other notes. Lavender, musk, some herbal notes. There's ambergris, vetiver, jasmine, cedar. It's a real kind of all-round citrus scent type of fragrance. Similar to maybe things like Aventis, although not a clone of it. Even with a touch of that Bleu de Chanel kind of crisp blue freshness. I think that's why Elysium probably had that kind of colour of blue bottle, as does Supernova. Supernova. But it's a bit different to your high street designer fare. It smells like a niche version of your all-round, everyday, everyman scent with really high quality notes. Really, really crisp and bright, almost kind of champagne-like opening, and a nice masculine, woody, musky drive down. I really find this one performs really, really well. I've got a few comments from people, unsolicited compliments, if you like, which I don't get many of, and I do find that all of these doers do seem to have that little notch above the average level of projection and longevity. They do get you smelled, and that's why I'm very happy to feature them on the channel, because I know the one thing people comment about all the time in comments is on videos, good or bad, about scents, is the performance. This one didn't perform well, that one did perform well. It matters to you people, I know, and I do have to say doer fragrances perform really well, get very, very close, not identical, but very close to the thing they're copying. Supernova, I would recommend that. Really, really strong performance. Great, slightly unique kind of smell because it's a hybrid, and Elysium's not that well known anyway. So you're not going to stumble across too many people who are wearing anything that smells quite like you, but you are going to smell great almost for any situation, that one. But essentially a freshie, but a freshie with depth. Moving to something completely different now, and this is going to be Queen of Spades. This is Dua's take on Pico Via Dama from Xerjoff, of which I do have a small sample. Pico Via Dama, the name of a novel by, was it Pushkin, I think, the Russian author, and yes, indeed, from the 19th century. And that one has a ton of notes, including bergamot, lemon, neroli, rose, aldehydes, importantly, iris, there's sandalwood, nutmeg, musk, patchouli, vanilla. Very long note listing. It's a very rich, powerful kind of scent. It's got a real kind of old school aldehyde thing and a sort of soapy muskiness about it. Almost a bit of a barbershop feel with Pico Via Dama. And comparing them side by side, I've sprayed them on here. They are very, very close. They have done a very good job of emulating Pico Via Dama. Now, the thing with Pico Via Dama from Xerjoff is it's very, very expensive. I think I found it on Lucky Scent for 50ml in the USA for $460. So here the case for Dua gets quite strong because you can just pay your $60 for the 30ml. So I think it's kind of justified when they pick out these really, really high-end, hard-to-get ones such as this and make a really good quality copy. And I think this is excellent. I really enjoy the scent. It's different. It's got a real old-school feel, really pungent, kind of a muskiness, almost an animalic civet-esque undertone for me, but maybe it's just musk. And this kind of soapy and old-school aldehyde floral vibe. Very, very, very strong. Things that remind me of a classic Chanel female fragrance in some ways, and yet I think this works for men and women equally well. Really pungent stuff, and it's kind of exciting to have a version of Pico Via Dama without having to splash out that ridiculous amount of money. And so one I can really get behind. Queen of Spades from Dua, one of my favourites actually recently. Moving on then, this one got a mention in my last review that talked about Dua, so I'll just brush over it a little bit quickly, but I still really love it, and that's called Best Citrus Ever. It's their version of Henry Jacques Iroir or something, which is a really, really hard to find fragrance. I think you can only get it in Harrods and one other place in the world or something. Very, very crisp citrus aromatic scent, a little bit reminiscent of classic citrus aromatics, maybe like Dior's Eau Sauvage, but it's got its own niche kind of vibe going on. Really, really beautiful, right up my street. Classic green, natural smelling citrus, lovely aromatics, I think lavender, usual kind of herbal aromatic supporting notes, and just smells really, really high quality. Not the biggest beast mode one, but one of the most exquisite smells. Something you're unlikely to be able to afford or even to try because you can't go to the store. So it's hard to compare it to the original scent. For most of you out there, I have sampled that. They're very, very similar, and suffice to say this is a really, really brilliant and different. No one else is going to smell like this citrus scent. Best citrus ever from Dua, one of my favourites, so I'm officially putting that at number 2 in my list. Number 1 then, it's going to be Invasion of the Barbers, and this is of course their take on Invasion Barbar from MDCI Parfums. That was one of the most talked about barbershop or fougere fragrances in the niche world for many, many years. So the original fragrance is going to set you back on the company's website, MDCI, €225 for a 75ml. That's if you opt not for the fancy bust lid that you can get on that one, just for the basic version, 75ml, €225. So when you look at this one for $60 for 30ml, the value is better. The value per mil isn't so much better, but of course you don't have the opportunity to buy the smaller size of a lot of these niche ones. So sometimes a 30ml size can be a really good handy pocket size, good for travel, and you get a more varied collection spending less money. So although these aren't cheap, there's a case for these smaller sizes, and the prices, it's not outrageous if they're good, which I'm saying a lot of these are. Let's talk about this one. Is it any good? Does it perform well? Very strong performance on this. Lasts ages. Sprayed it on, I think it was Saturday, a couple of days ago. Really lasted well. Picked up the shirt the next day. Could have just worn it and the shirt would have given my fragrance, for the whole day. So the notes on this one, got grapefruit, bergamot, violet leaf, thyme, cardamom, lavender from grass, and we have ginger, patchouli, vanilla and musk. So the company just stressing that they got real grass lavender, the highest quality stuff you can get, and a lot of the ingredients that they're very keen to stress. They're not just using cheapo stuff, they're really using expensive stuff. And you get this really nice kind of milky, spicy feel mixed in with a really strong lavender note. Kind of a barbershop feel, but a sort of an oriental fougere, a barbershop with sweetness and creaminess. The original fragrance is lovely. I've tried it many times, although never owned it, but I have had a sample. So I can't do a side-by-side right now, but I am familiar with the smell, and it really captures that lovely, milky, slightly creamy, sweet barbershop, kind of a neo barbershop, a modern barbershop with an added element of sweetness in this one, and a real beast mode performance. So I think Invasion of the Barbers for $60, around about £45 if you're in the UK, I think that's really worth the money for that 30ml size with a really strong performance, and I love wearing that one. So probably my favourite of the bunch at the moment. Pretty positive about all of them. The downside is that they're not super cheap, and there are cheaper clones available, and the packaging, although not bad and quite nice there, they kind of look good if you've got a selection of them together lined up. They look pretty neat, but the packaging is a little bit basic. So it's all about the smell and the performance on these and the juice itself. Let me know what you think about Duo fragrances. And I'll do my best to answer as many comments as I can. The link to their website, of course, is in the description down below. Thanks ever so much for joining me. And remember, as ever, whatever you're doing in life, let's project. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye. Smelly.